Good evening. Yesterday morning, Carla, our communications person, contacted me because she had not seen my Friday Signs of Hope yet and wondered if she had missed it. And I responded to her, no, she didn't miss it because I didn't have one to give. And I didn't quite know what to do about that, but that I was okay. But I didn't have a sign of hope for Friday. Discovered one a few moments ago, so no makeup and gray roots coming out. I want to share it with you. I have Monica and Roger and Ryan singing in the background at their Evensong concert right now. I would like to read to you something that I saw on Twitter from a dad. If you're on Twitter, you can find it yourself. It's at Hugh Weber, Hughweber. And he writes, Emerson, my 11-year-old is a bit on a wild ride with the United States Postal Service and our local mail carrier, Doug. And I think there's a deeper message to it all. M has a serious letter writing habit. She maintains active correspondence with over a dozen of her favorite people. And if you've been a lucky recipient of one of M's hand-decorated letters and envelopes, then you have a pretty good idea of the joy that they bring. And here's a picture of some of her envelopes. A letter from Emerson is likely to include some sort of art, a joke or two, a mention of her younger brother, confessions of her love for Taylor Swift, and enough questions to guarantee a response. So when she decided to thank our mail carrier for the service he provides for us, she left nothing out. In went Taylor Swift, in went her little brother, in went the jokes. Why do you never see elephants hiding in trees? Well, because they're really good at it. M wrote, I'm Emerson. You may know me as the person that lives here that writes a lot of letters and decorates the envelopes. Well, I wanted to thank you for taking my letters and delivering them because you are very important to me and I make people happy with my letters, but you do too. She continued, the reason you are very important in my life is because I don't have a phone. So how else am I supposed to stay in touch with my friends? You make it possible. She put it in the box and smiled when he took it, and that was enough. The next day, a package arrived with some stamps and 2 letters. Doug had shared M's letter with her supervisor, Sarah, and they both wanted to share how touched they were by her note. So they sent a note with some stamps, a couple notes with some stamps. Sarah said that as an essential worker, Doug may not be able to maintain regular correspondence with her, but Sarah could. And M started writing with her that very afternoon. This is when things got interesting. The next week, we got a letter addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Weber. It seems that Sarah had shared M's note as a token of thanks in the internal newsletter for the Western United States, and there were some postal folks who wanted to thank her. So Sarah had some letters to get to Emerson. Today, we saw Doug getting out of the truck with 2 boxes of letters from around the country. We snapped a quick photo through the door as he and Emerson met for the first time. It was a beautiful moment on silent reciprocity. So here is a letter of the boxes and her mailman, Doug. These letters were so deeply human. They are filled with family, pets, hobbies, community, and an overwhelming sense of kindness. Because M was fully vulnerable, they were too. M shared jokes, so they shared jokes. M shared her brother, so every gift that was sent came in a duplicate. M shared Taylor Swift, and as it turns out, the U.S. Postal Service is filled with lots of undercover Swifties. One maintenance manager from Minnesota wanted to inspire her to start collecting stamps, so he sent 2 stamps of his own from the bulletin board in his office to start her collection. And they sent stamps to be used as well, stamps for her to write back. Stamps for her to write others. Stamps, stamps, stamps. 218 stamps by M's account. But there was something more in those letters. People felt seen, some for the first time in a long time. I work alone in a small rural post office. My kids all live far away. Not a lot of people think about how hard we work. One wrote, I can tell you how much it means, can't tell you how much it means to read your letter. Another, I have a son in Kuwait, and if you have a second to send him a letter, he would love it. And another, I know you can't write back to all of us, but maybe I can drop you a line from time to time. With dozens of new pen pals, Em did what she does best. She wrote the dad. She wrote his son. She assured the secret Swifties not to be embarrassed because her dad likes T-Swift too. She acknowledged that there were a lot of letters, but she had the time. She seized them all. And there she's working on some. I'm not sharing this because I'm a proud dad. I'm sharing it because it's relatively easy. If we take the time to give others the one thing they need to be human, the one thing they need, a human connection. I have a friend that says, we all just want to be seen, known, and loved. Em does this boldly. We're all in a moment of physical isolation, and that's amplifying the epidemic of loneliness, anxiety, and depression. I've been feeling it personally since long before we locked our front door. I've heard from college students to senior executives who professionally and personally were stressed, worried, and afraid. I'm going to skip this part because it's a little about him. The moral of the story, here we go, is that small things matter the most, friends. Send a letter, make a phone call, practice self-care, take a step of boldness for you, for others, and thank your mail carrier from appropriate distance. They are working extremely hard to keep us all connected. And if you are feeling isolated, anxious, scared, or depressed, those feelings are valid. And I'm feeling them too. And I'm here if you need me. So I want to add, much like Emerson said, that I'm here for you as well. And that I picked up these stamps, I think the second week of isolation, of staying at home, and I haven't used a single one yet. And this little moment, this Twitter thread, made me realize that I bought them for a reason when the time came, because there were things I wanted to get in the mail. There were notes I wanted to send. And having felt pretty bad on Friday, I'm going to do just that now. So here is my Sunday night, Friday signs of hope. And I've said it before in my videos. Check in on your people. Have a great night and have a great week. Thanks.